My fiancé said if you loved me, you'd put my name on the house. I said no, then I changed the code. She laughed and told me I was bluffing. By the weekend, her mother was apologizing, her friends were calling, and a locksmith bill was sitting on my kitchen counter. Original post. I'm Leo, 35, from Raleigh, North Carolina. I work in IT project management for a healthcare software company. My fiancée, Brianna, is 32 and works as an event planner for a hotel group downtown. We'd been together a little over 4 years, engaged for 8 months. The house matters here. I bought it before I met her. Small brick place, 3 bedrooms. Nothing flashy, but it was mine. I put 12% down, made every payment on time, replaced the roof myself with my brother-in-law's help, and spent 2 summers fixing the backyard fence. It wasn't inherited. It wasn't luck. It was years of saying no to trips, no to new cars, no to stupid money decisions. Brianna knew that. At first she respected it, said she admired that I was stable, said it felt safe. Then somewhere around wedding planning, safe turned into accessible. She started saying things like, well, technically it'll be ours soon, and I started correcting her. Not harshly, just clearly. It's mine now. After the wedding, we can figure out what makes sense together. That stopped being enough. For the last month, she kept circling the same conversation. Add me to the deed now. Prove you trust me. Show me I'm not just a guest in your life. I told her the same thing every time. I'm happy to make legal plans after we're married. I'm not signing over half my premarital house before the wedding because someone asked for a romantic gesture in legal form. She didn't like that answer. Last Thursday, we were at a steak place meeting with the florist after dinner. Wedding notebook open. Budget sheet open. She was already annoyed because I had said no to a custom champagne wall that cost $2,600. She stared at me across the table and said, real calm, if you loved me, you'd put my name on the house. I looked at her for maybe 3 seconds. Then I said no. She smirked like she'd expected a negotiation. Said, wow, that's cold. I told her it wasn't cold, it was adult. She leaned back and said maybe I need to rethink marrying someone who keeps me at arm's length. I said okay. Then maybe you should. That changed her face. She thought I was supposed to panic, reach across the table, start bargaining. I didn't. I paid my half of dinner, closed the notebook, and stood up. She said, Leo, sit down. I said no, I'm good. She said don't be dramatic. I told her asking for equity in someone else's house and calling it love was dramatic enough for both of us. Then I left. She didn't come after me. That surprised me. But about 20 minutes later, the text started. Are you seriously doing this over one conversation? You're twisting what I said. I was trying to talk about our future. Call me I didn't. Now here's the part that made changing the code easy. Brianna still had her apartment for 3 more weeks. She was at my place most nights and had clothes, shoes, makeup, some work stuff, and half the bathroom cabinet there, but her lease wasn't over yet. So when I got home, I packed everything of hers neatly into plastic bins and garment bags. Took photos, made a list, put it all in the front room. Then I changed the garage code and the front door keypad code. Not out of anger, out of clarity. At 11:08 p.m. she called, then again. Then from FaceTime, then from a blocked number. I sent one text. You gave me an ultimatum tied to my house. I'm ending this. Your things are packed. Tell me when you want porch pickup. That's when the real chaos started. Update 1, it's been 4 days. Brianna went from offended to emotional to furious in under 12 hours. Friday morning, her younger sister, Kelsey, texted me first. Said I was overreacting and punishing Brianna over a normal pre-marriage concern. I replied once with a screenshot of Brianna's exact words. If you loved me, you'd put my name on the house. Nothing else. Kelsey left me on read. Then Brianna's best friend Dana tried. Different angle, softer voice. Dana called and said Brianna is just scared of being left with nothing someday. I said that's funny, because asking me to risk my house before the wedding sounded a lot more like she was planning for herself than building with me. Dana said, you know she loves you. I said maybe. But people who love you don't invoice you for proof. Then I hung up. Brianna herself kept rotating strategies. 1 minute she was saying I embarrassed her and ruined the wedding over pride. The next minute she was saying she didn't mean it literally and I should know her better than that. Then came the message that actually settled everything in my mind. Any decent man would want his wife protected. Wife. Not fiancé, not partner, not future spouse. Wife. She wanted husband-level sacrifice before the marriage and girlfriend-level accountability if it went bad. That afternoon she showed up at my house while I was working from home. Ring camera caught everything. She knocked, then pounded, then smiled into the camera like this was all some misunderstanding. I spoke through the doorbell and asked what she needed. She said her blue roller bag and the white shoe boxes. I put them on the porch. She didn't leave right away. She stood there and said, "You're really doing this?" I told her yes. She said, 4 years and this is how you end it. I said, no, Brianna. You ended it when you attached my house to your test of love. Then she cried, and for about 5 seconds I almost felt bad. Then she said, hope that house keeps you warm at night. That helped. The twist I did not expect came from her mother, Ellen. She called that evening and I answered because I figured I owed her that much. She started out tense, clearly ready to defend her daughter. Then I told her exactly what happened. No spin. No insults. I even forwarded the screenshot. Silence. Long silence. Then she sighed and said, she actually said that to you. I said yes. And Ellen, to her credit, didn't do what most parents do. She didn't make excuses. She just said, I'm sorry, that was wrong. You don't ask for someone's house like it's a bouquet upgrade. I actually laughed at that. She told me she loved Brianna, but if this was how Brianna was approaching marriage, then I was right not to walk into it blind. That call did more for my peace than anything else that week. Meanwhile, I spent Friday locking down the wedding accounts. Venue, photographer, DJ, florist, total deposits at risk around $7,300. Because most of them were booked through my cards and email, I managed to cancel or transfer nearly all of it. I'm still out $1,450, which stings, but it's cheaper than divorce. Saturday night, Brianna posted a vague story about men who weaponize security and call it boundaries. A mutual friend screenshotted it and sent it to me. I didn't reply. I changed the Netflix password instead. Update 2-3 weeks later, and somehow she found new levels. The first escalation was work. I got called into HR on a Tuesday because someone had emailed saying I was emotionally unstable, retaliatory, and had illegally locked my fiancée out while withholding her personal property. HR was polite about it, but you can imagine how fun that meeting was at 9:15 in the morning. I already had everything saved: text screenshots, ring footage, inventory photos, the message offering porch pickup, the fact that she still had her own apartment lease. All of it. I sat there, handed my phone over, and watched the whole thing fall apart in real time. HR printed the email chain, flagged her name with building security, and thanked me for documenting everything. That should have been embarrassing enough for a normal person. It wasn't. 2 days later, she showed up in the lobby with a bakery box and a sealed card, told the receptionist she just wanted 5 minutes. Security called upstairs before letting her through. I told them she was not to come up. They escorted her out. I went downstairs after they left, took the card from the desk, photographed it unopened for my records, then threw the cupcakes in the break room. My team ate them. Chocolate, if anyone cares. Then came the police report. Brianna claimed she had left gold jewelry and a designer watch at my house, and that I was refusing to return them. 2 officers came by on a Sunday afternoon. I invited them in, stayed calm, showed them the pickup photos, the list of items, the ring clip of her collecting bags, and the follow-up text where she said, I got my stuff. I just need time to process this. One officer actually raised his eyebrows at that. They told me it was a civil matter unless she could prove theft. She couldn't. They left. I saved the incident number. After that, I paid $425 for a cease and desist letter from an attorney downtown. Worth every dollar. The letter went out by certified mail on Monday. By Wednesday, she was using a new number to leave voicemails, not screaming ones either. Those would have been easier. These were the wounded, trembling voice kind. I made one demand and you burned down our future. You could have just reassured me. Enjoy explaining to the next woman why your house matters more than people. I saved every single one. Flying monkeys kept circling too. Her cousin Tyler said I'd humiliated the whole family. Her maid of honor, Marissa, said Brianna was unraveling and I should at least meet for closure. Even Dana came back for one last attempt and said Brianna felt discarded. Discarded. Like she was a sweater I donated instead of a grown adult who tried to pressure me into legal vulnerability before a wedding. The second unexpected ally was my boss, Cheryl. After the lobby stunt, she called me into her office and said two things. One, if this spills over again, let security handle it. Two, you've been more composed through this than half the executives I know during budget season. A week later, she put me on a new implementation project with a raise attached. So while Brianna was spiraling, I was getting promoted. Funny how life works. I also started sleeping again, running in the mornings, cooking at home. The house got quiet in a way I didn't realize I'd been missing. No tension, no little tests, no passive comments about how a real partner would prove himself. Just peace. Final update 2 months out now. The legal ending came faster than I expected. After the cease and desist, Brianna made one more bad decision. She came back to my house on a rainy Friday night and stood on the porch for almost 20 minutes, knocking off and on, then trying the old keypad code over and over. Ring caught all of it. She wasn't threatening. She was persistent, which, legally, turns out to matter when you already have documentation. I called the non-emergency line. An officer came out, reviewed the history, and issued a formal trespass warning. My attorney looked at the whole file after that and said we had enough for a no-contact order based on repeated unwanted contact, workplace interference, false claims, and the trespass incident. So we filed. The hearing was last week. Brianna showed up in a beige sweater set and minimal makeup like she was auditioning for Reasonable Woman of the Year. Didn't matter. The judge had the texts, the HR email, the police incident number, the certified cease and desist receipt, the ring clips. My attorney kept it clean and brief. At one point the judge looked over his glasses and asked Brianna, "Did you tell him, quote, if you loved me, you'd put my name on the house?" She tried to soften it, said it was taken emotionally, not legally. The judge said, "It appears he understood you perfectly. That was pretty much it. 1 year no contact. No calls, texts, third-party contact, home or workplace visits." Done. After the hearing, Ellen caught me outside the courthouse. She looked tired, not dramatic, just tired. She said I was right to walk away, and quieter than that, she said Brianna had been telling people once her name was on the house, I'd finally stop acting like everything had to be mine. That sentence told me more than I ever needed to know. I thanked her for being honest. Financially, here's where I landed, about $1,450 in lost wedding deposits, $425 for the attorney letter, $310 for the locksmith and rekey backup, and one very expensive lesson in not ignoring entitlement when it shows up dressed as vulnerability. Still cheaper than marrying it. Personally, I'm good. Better than good, honestly. The raise came through. I repainted the spare room and turned it into an office. I've been seeing someone named Paige from my Saturday running group. Nothing dramatic, no chaos, no games. The first time she said, "Text me when you get home," I actually laughed, because that's what normal care sounds like, not leverage, not tests, not legal demands disguised as romance. The lesson for me is simple. When someone asks you to prove love by making yourself less safe, that isn't intimacy. That's extraction. Real partnership doesn't start with pressure. It starts with respect. Brianna kept calling the house a symbol. She was right. It was a symbol, just not of what she thought. It was the line between being loved and being used, and thank God I noticed before the wedding. If you've ever had someone test your love with an ultimatum, tell me in the comments how it ended. And if you want more stories like this, like, subscribe, and share.